Welcome back, everybody. I recently won a small auction lot for $51.70. That includes the price shipped to the door. It came to the door completely blown open in the box. I haven't looked through it yet. Hopefully everything's there. Let's take a look and see. Took everything out of the box. First impression, I think everything's here. I'll be honest, I'm kind of excited about this one. There's some really cool stuff in here. Well, at least I think it's cool. I think just about everything here is made in the USA, and I really like this lot for the variety. Not just the different type of tools, but the different brands that I don't see. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is one of the pieces right here. This is a Indestro USA stubby, and it's got the clutch head style screwdriver on it. Never had anything like that before. Not even sure I've had many, if any, Indestro screwdrivers. This thing looks like it's brand new, so that's really a cool piece. Just on the surface, I see three of these Stanley USA Torx screwdrivers. Got a T15 and looks like two T25s. So these are the Torx driver. Pretty good condition. I may have a couple extra ones where I can almost make a set. I've had a few of these in the past. I'm not sure I've had this brand. I think that says Corsair by Great Neck. It is made in the USA. This is one of those hole saw kits that you kind of get all the blades in one. On the surface, it seems like it wouldn't work that great, but I've never used one. If you have, feel free to comment below. Now, not everything here is made in the USA. This is a Sears branded 12-inch adjustable, and this is the BF Japan version. We made a number of tools for Sears and Craftsman with the BF Japan mark on them, and that was Fuller, I believe. When Fuller went to Japan, I think that is their plant. I'll be honest, I can't quite make out the name of this saw. To me, it looks like, I guess you'd call it a jab saw for something that would be used on drywall, but this one has a very different blade on it, so I'm not sure that's what this was for. This is definitely unique to me, but maybe it's just a drywall saw. Next up, we have the Stanley Chalk-O-Matic. This is I would imagine, aluminum housing chalk line. Kind of looks like a plumb bob at the same time. Maybe it's dual purpose. Sticking with the Stanley, we have an H1202 Stanley Handyman. And this is a little scratch-all. Nice condition. And this next one I would have guessed is a Stanley as well, and it might be this little sliding bevel. There is the number, 1225, so that might come back as a Stanley number. I just don't see a name on it anywhere. It looks like there maybe could have been one on this side at one time, worn off. It does say made in the USA. So I'll probably punch in that part number and see what it comes back as. Next up, we have this Craftsman Western Forge USA slip joint pliers. It's got the old black rubber handle on it. It's in pretty good shape yet. The whole thing's in pretty good shape, not just the handles, but the actual pliers itself. I will need a little help on this one. I swear I've seen one of these before. I've probably had one of these before. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's for. Obviously, we have what looks like a screwdriver at first, but it has two little prongs on it, and it's spring-loaded. So I forget what this is used for, but it's an Indestro 810. I'm sure I could easily look it up, but just out here doing this live, I cannot think of what this is for. Then we also have about an 8-inch square. I see that it does say made in the USA on this side, but I see no other branding as far as name goes. I mean, on this side it says Tri-Square, but I doubt that's the brand. Next up, we have this brake adjustment tool from Durochrome, which I believe would later become Indestro. This one's really long. A lot of times these are a little bit shorter than this, but something I'll probably keep around. I've needed these before. I've used a screwdriver, but it would be good to have the correct tool sometimes. There's a couple things in this lot that really caught my eye, and the next couple pieces are some of those things. This is another clutch head tool from Indestro. And we have an even bigger one here, also from Indestro. So those are a little unusual to me. I don't know that I've had these before. This next one's really cool. It's a long underlined C Craftsman Vanadium open-end wrench. It's a 25-30 seconds by 7/8. Unfortunately, somebody did decide to put their initials in it. I do like to try to collect this old style Craftsman underline logo. Here's something a little different. This is a Williams Super Wrench, 9/32 6-point. This must be considered a little ignition wrench. Very small, very good condition. And then this next one is another ignition wrench, a little 1/4 by 9/32 offset 6-point Craftsman. And these offset ignition wrenches seem a little bit harder to find than the open end ones. Next we have a Stanley slip joint pliers. This one does say made in Japan. I do wonder if it wasn't made from that same BF factory. If anyone knows about that, let me know. We also have this Castar 5/16 reversible ratcheting side post battery terminal wrench. Castar, I think, is now called Lang. And here's something I've probably never had. Unfortunately, the name is a little bit scraped off. I'm not sure why somebody would want to do that. It doesn't really make any sense. I think it says Durochrome in there. This is a little 1/4-inch spinner handle. So it's a little unfortunate the name's scraped off, but still a neat little find. Next up, we have a plumb bob. I would say it's probably about 4 ounces, 5 ounces. The point on it is really good, yet there's no markings that I can see on here. It seems vintage. Surprised it's not marked at all. Usually they have some sort of marking, but not this one. Next up, we have this T-handle wrench. This one's a little unique. I'm going to guess it was used for a piece of machinery. I do see it as marked USA. I think it says 9/16 on it, if I'm not mistaken. I can't quite make out the brand. It does have a 8-point double square socket on the bottom. So I'm going to guess that was probably used for machinery. Could be wrong. Next up, we have another Durochrome screwdriver. This one is not all gouged off where the name is. Pretty big size, flat tip slotted screwdriver. Next up, we have this, I guess, multi-tool. It does say made in the USA. I would imagine this was maybe sold with some sort of power tool, just for changing stuff or tightening stuff when assembling, whatever. Then we have another Durochrome screwdriver, or at least it used to be a screwdriver. So this one has a good name where it's not gouged off. It's just ground on this end. So I guess it's an ice pick at this point. Got a couple of these Indestro Select Steel open-end wrenches. We got a 1/2 by 9/16. And we also have a 3/8 by 7/16. Actually, yet another Durochrome screwdriver. This one's another flat tip. Seems to be in pretty good shape yet. Maybe a little bit touched up on the end there. Got a handful of Craftsman wrenches, and actually these wrenches are some of the better ones. I'll explain why as we go, but here's a 7/16. Maybe that one's not. Maybe this one's not a 1/2 inch. Those are pretty common. But when we get into this one, 11/32, these didn't come with most sets. If you just bought like whatever they used to sell, a 7-piece or 9, 10-piece, these usually didn't come with it. Same goes for this one, 1/4 inch. And these are in pretty good shape. And what do we got here? 5/16, a little dirty. This one is a little bit rusty. It was a 3/8, and that's a pretty common one. That's usually where they started, 3/8, and a lot of times they went to like 3/4. So if you have something under 3/8, it's usually a little bit better wrench to have, and something over 3/4 is usually a little bit better wrench to have. Next up, we have a tongue and groove channel locks, water pump pliers, I guess most people call these. The handles are in really good shape, which is kind of nice. It's a little bit of light corrosion, but that'll clean right up. At first, I thought this was going to be a Craftsman, but it's a Westcraft USA. It's like a little center punch or something like that, a punch. And then we do have a Craftsman Western Forge chisel. We have a Sears branded Western Forge flat tip. Next up, we have a very nice #1 Craftsman Phillips. Really nice shape. Looks like it was probably never used. Next up is one of the reasons I wanted this lot, and that was for this diamond horseshoe Dimaloy adjustable. I think this is a 6-inch. Yeah, I can read it through the plastic there. To get these with the green handle, and the green handle being in good shape, and this one's in really good shape. I mean, it's a little dirty, so it might look a little messed up, but a cleaning will take that right off. Usually, where these the seam meets here, usually they're all tore up right there, and then usually they're worn through at some other spot. And this one is in great shape. And I do collect these, so the fact that it was in very good shape is nice, because I will keep that one. These green handle tools are getting harder to find, and especially with the coating still in great shape. So very happy to own that one. Next we have this Craftsman. I believe it's like a screw holding tool to get a screw started. Have a fairly nice Vaco. I think it's Vaco, not Vaco. Fairly nice Vaco flat tip. I guess this would be considered a cabinet screwdriver because it's doesn't flare out here. They're actually calling it a bull driver. I'm not sure what that means. Have this 1/4-inch Craftsman nut driver, and also have a Craftsman Professional number 2 Phillips. The Phillips end is a little bit worn. Next we have this Crescent G28, I believe it says. Little slip joint pliers, the embellished handles. A little bit of surface rust there, but that should clean up pretty easy. I have a fairly nice 8-inch Craftsman adjustable. It's a little dirty, some very light pitting, but probably clean up very easily. These last 4 pieces I was excited to see just because I don't think I've had screwdrivers like this before. The Indestro Super white clear handle. This is a longer flat tip. Unfortunately, this next one does have a scrape right across the branding. I do feel confident this is an Indestro. It's a 1/4-inch spinner handle, and that is a cool piece. I just wish the logo was a little bit better, but yeah, can't have everything. This one must have been stamped on a Monday. It's way off center. It's even a little crooked. But here's another Indestro screwdriver. This is a pretty big Phillips. I think that's at least a number 3. Could be a number 4. But heavy duty Phillips. And last one up is another Indestro. Again, this logo is all scraped up. Like, this is like the 3rd or 4th one. It's almost like it's being done on purpose. But this one's a little more yellowed. The other ones were pretty clear. This is a pretty big flat tip again. Flat tip's in pretty good shape. Somebody might have touched it up a little bit, but overall it's in good shape. So personally, I definitely thought this was worth $51. I think there's a number of cool tools in here. A lot of just good quality tools in here. But that's going to be all for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.